All right, what if I told you that the key to understanding a superpower's whole military strategy isn't actually found in some high-tech war room, but in a school cafeteria? Yeah, you heard that right. Today, we're going to break down a concept called escalation dominance, and our story starts in a place you definitely know all too well. So, how can a schoolyard bully possibly explain a global conflict? I know, it sounds a little out there, but trust me, this simple analogy, it reveals a whole lot about the true nature of power. So let's picture it, a school cafeteria. Now, this is way more than just a place to grab lunch, right? It's a whole social ecosystem. It's got its own unspoken rules, its own little microeconomy, and of course, its own undisputed king. Okay, so here's how the system works. You've got the bully who's in charge of everything, and his gang, they go around and collect a tax. You know, maybe $1 from every kid who wants to eat in peace. And what do you get for your dollar? Well, the bully keeps things in order. No fights, no chaos, and for a while, everyone just kind of goes along with it. It's a stable system, even if it isn't exactly fair. But you know how it goes. Power corrupts. The bully starts to get arrogant, he raises the tax on the students, but starts paying his own gang less. He just pockets the difference. Now the system is still holding together, but just barely. At this point, pretty much everyone, from the students to his own crew, is miserable. They all feel trapped. And then one day, the whole thing gets turned on its head. A new kid enrolls. The thing is, he doesn't know any of the rules. And crucially, he just doesn't care about the bully's reputation. He's just a guy walking into the cafeteria looking for a place to sit down and eat his lunch. So, naturally, the bully's gang tries to force the new kid into line. First, they try to ostracize him. He gets nothing. He doesn't care. Then they start cursing at him, trying to intimidate him. And he just ignores them. They threaten him with a fight, and the kid stays completely calm. Every single step they take up this ladder of intimidation just fails. The bully is quickly running out of nonviolent options here. And this is the turning point. The new kid finally speaks, and he says the one thing that can bring the bully's entire power structure crashing down. He just looks at him and says, "I'm not afraid of you." Boom. The bluff has been called. Now the bully has to do something. He has to act, or his credibility, his entire reputation is gone forever. So the bully does what he does best. He punches the new kid. And look, he's bigger, he's stronger, so of course he wins the fight. The new kid gets beaten up. But something important has just shattered. Everyone in that cafeteria saw the bully get pushed into a corner. They saw someone actually stand up to him. And maybe most importantly, they saw that getting punched by the bully, well, it wasn't the end of the world. So yeah, the bully won the battle, but he completely lost the fear that gave him his power in the first place. Okay, so how does this whole cafeteria showdown translate into a powerful strategic lesson? Well, this story is a perfect illustration of a concept called escalation dominance, and, more importantly, its critical weakness. So what exactly is escalation dominance? It's actually pretty simple. It just means you have the ability to raise the stakes of a conflict to a level your opponent just can't match. Our bully had it, right? Because he was the strongest kid in the school. He could always take things to the next level, a full-on fistfight, that he knew nobody else could win. And this is where you see the huge difference in their strategies. The bully, he's actually trapped. He has to escalate to maintain his credibility, to save face. It makes his actions really predictable. But the new kid, he has what you'd call strategic flexibility. He can take the insults, he can ignore the threats, and he can pick and choose how and when to respond. He isn't tied down by a reputation he has to protect, so he's totally free to act in whatever way gives him the biggest strategic advantage. So the crucial point here is, the new kid basically manipulated the bully into destroying himself. By just being patient and super flexible, he forced the guy with all the power to use that power in a way that actually made him weaker. It is a classic textbook case of smart strategic thinking beating raw brute force. Okay, so that's the theory, that's the cafeteria drama. But how does this actually apply to the real world, on the world stage? Well, let's take this exact concept and apply it to a global superpower. And this brings us to something called the escalation ladder. It's basically a framework that military strategists use to map out the different levels of intensity in a conflict. You can think of it like, well, a ladder. Every nation has one, but for a superpower like the United States, the rungs on that ladder are just immensely powerful. So let's walk up this ladder together, rung by rung. A superpower might start on a lower rung with something like a decapitation strike, right? That's designed to take out enemy leadership and just create chaos. Okay, but what if that doesn't work? Well, you climb higher. You escalate to widespread military strikes on bases, on air defenses. Still nothing? You climb again. You could impose a massive economic embargo, basically choking off all of their funding. And from there, it gets really, really severe. You're talking about attacking civilian infrastructure, which is a war crime, or maybe deploying secret, advanced weapons to intimidate them. And then, at the very top of that ladder, you have the ultimate threat: weapons of mass destruction.
But here's the paradox, and it's exactly the same one our bully faced. The higher a superpower climbs this ladder, the fewer real options they have left. They become predictable. Every single step up is this huge commitment that actually reduces their strategic flexibility. All the while, their opponent, who might be way down on a lower rung, could still have a ton of different moves they can make. Which leaves us with this one big, fascinating question. When you're facing an opponent who has escalation dominance, whether that's a bully in the schoolyard or a superpower on the world stage, is the only winning move to not play the game at all? Is real strength found not in your ability to climb higher and strike harder, but in the wisdom to make your opponent's greatest power completely irrelevant?